It's the story of a girl who's had her identity, who's volunteered apparently to have her identity removed so that she can be imprinted with new identities and new skills and new languages, whatever it is, for various engagements. And it's the story of every week those engagements, and it's also the story of her sort of burgeoning self-awareness in between, where she lives in this, what's referred to as the dollhouse, and is very innocent and very sort of, she's had everything taken away from her except her sort of, basic functions, and yet she starts to exist, starts to become self-aware, and is clearly evolving, which is not exactly what they're looking for her to do. And so how that relates to everything she does every week, every different engagement, whether she's in some cult somewhere, or if she's a millionaire, or if she's a safecracker, or if she's whatever she's doing, some part of herself will begin to bleed into that, and some part of what happened to her that week will begin to bleed into her sort of collective accumulative memory. And so that's sort of where the fun of the thing comes for her. Tommo, I hired him because I found him from the very first as Hilo to be a very stalwart guy, very trusting, very solid, but with a kind of sadness, a real hero. And gave him a real hero's role, as he likes to say, he's a lone wolf. And at the same time, we get to sort of start picking him apart and going, well, is that good? What is it about you? And also, just let the dollhouse really start to mess with him. And his obsession with Echo, which is, is kind of based on very little. But she's Eliza Dushku, so it makes perfect sense narratively. And so she's the person who's just sort of trying to make her way out, and he's the guy trying to make his way in. So for most of the season, they're just sort of presenting these polar opposites, but occasionally they do connect. This is about as hard a role as you could ask a person to do. I mean, every week is a pilot for her. She has to be blind. She has to be, in her 60s, and she has to be Hispanic. She has to be whatever it is. She's every challenge. She just comes at it really hard, works really hard, works with her coach, works with me, and is very precise about what she's doing, but she still has that Eliza thing of bringing an anarchic moment, just like happening on screen as opposed to like you seeing the work. But to see, how invested she would be as a producer and with ideas and without ever overstepping, without ever getting in my soup, still really, being a leader on set, being the person driving the show, being a cheerleader when the writers needed one, when things were rough. She's just been, I adore her.